Bhagavad Gita 143. Utsanna kula dharmanam manushyanam chanardana narake niyatam vaso bhavati tyanushushruma. Translation. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Purport. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience, but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being held by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashram institution by which before death one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement, called prayaschitta. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as the result of sinful activities. Om Gyanatimidandasya Gnanjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Utapala Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sagana Raghunantam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dilabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Atidana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Sarasvati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. So, an important point here, Arjuna does not speculate. He says that he has heard from disciplic succession. That's a system that's been lost now. It is very hard to accept such a way of receiving knowledge, especially in the West. In the West, we are trained to challenge everything, be very individualistic, um, proud of one's own learning. These universities are creating the opposites of what actual education is meant to be. So, first, education starts with humility. There's no question of being educated or learned if one is not humble. Um, so therefore, the way that Vedic culture worked is that the little boy from the tender age of 5 years old, Kaumara Acharet Pragno, right? They started to learn this devotional service, Dharman Bhagavatamiha. And in this way, they used to serve. So learn to serve others first. Don't become so proud that you know everything. So how to become humble? Well, you have to serve seniors, right? You have to serve elders. So the system was that everybody was serving someone from the lowest, right? The Shudra class. The Shudra class were serving the three higher class. So the normal workers, those who had not much intellectual capacity, but they have body, they can work, they can use their arms and legs, and also these Shudras used to serve the three higher classes. The Vaishyas, they used to be landowners, cow owners, mercantile class, make business. In this way, they would have servants that they manage. But they themselves also have to serve. They have to serve the Kshatriya in the sense that they have to give 25% of their production to the country. So they have to obey the king, and they have to also obey the Brahmanas. So they have to give donation to the Brahmanas, and when the Brahmanas used to come, they have to serve the Brahmanas like that. Kshatriyas also they managed, but even the king used to serve. See, the king did not think himself to be the highest. Now you see the presidents nowadays, they think they are the top. There's no one above them. Vedic culture was not like that. The Kshatriyas understood that we are worldly men. We deal with worldly issues. But the Brahmanas are dealing with the soul, with eternal issues. Therefore, they are superior to us. That there was this understanding. So, maybe you can share the link, the live link of YouTube. Huh? You did? No, the other one. Yeah, the YouTube link. So, you have to go on YouTube, Nimāi Nitāi. So in this way, the kings also were serving, and Krishna gave this very good example when he came also, because he acted as a king. He acted as a kshatriya, and he used to serve the saintly person who used to come visit, like Narada Muni. Narada Muni used to come, and Krishna would give him his seat and serve him like that. Although Narada Muni is a devotee of Krishna. We see that in all Vedic literatures, the saintly pious king, Raja Rishi, like Maharaj Yudhishthir, he used to serve all the Brahmanas who used to come. Krishna actually, he took the position of washing the feet of all, arranging for the service of all the Brahmanas at the Rajasuriya. And we see how he personally washed the feet of his friend, Sudama. So the kings were also serving. And the Brahmanas were also not independent. They were serving their own spiritual masters and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Brahmanas are the most materially independent, we can say, because they do not depend on others. The Shudra is fully dependent. He needs maintenance from higher caste. The Vaishya is less dependent because he is engaged in producing his own foodstuff. He doesn't need food to come from a master. But they are dependent on the Kshatriyas for protection and the management of the country. They have to depend on the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas are even more independent than the Vaishyas, because if they want to take, they take. They can come and take a village by the strength of their own arms. So in this way, they control even more. But the Brahmanas are not interested. Their duties is not to control this matter. Their duties is to become freed from this material entanglement. And therefore, they are the head of society. They are the one who are supposed to be seeing properly, because the head, right? The head is the one that thinks, is the one that sees, the one that speaks, the mouth, right? They're the one that used to have the speaking power. Feet don't talk. Feet, there's no, let's say all of a sudden our feet get the ability to speak. Do you think our feet will say something intelligent? There's no brain there. So similarly, there was no speaking power allowed for the Shudras. Very different from today's modern day democracy. Everybody thinks that their little addition, their little comment is very valuable. But if you go on Facebook and you see the comment, on YouTube you see the comment, there's no knowledge. Everybody speculates. It's simply some sound pollution. Everybody speaks, but they have no knowledge of the soul, no knowledge of why this world is created, why they were forced to be born, what happens after death. So this vox populi, that let's hear everybody's opinion, no, because majority of people are fools. They are in ignorance. They have no understanding of why they're forced to be born and what is the purpose of life. Correct? So why should we hear such people speak? That is not the system, the Vedic system. But in modern days, everyone's saying is very important, so-called. Just like yesterday, there's one right-wing he got shot. So he He died. Now, if you go on Facebook, you see so many comments concerning his thing. I was looking, I wanted to see a bit. 1/3 of the people put the smiling face. That just show you the conscience of the people. Of course, we know that these are the leftists, right? Those who promote very much the openness of sex and all of that. But anyway, we're not here to discuss politics. The point is that you see 1/3 of the people are happy that this guy died. So that's the type of people that are in the world now. Someone died. Doesn't matter he's right or left. This is something that is sad. The family, he has 2 daughters and all. It's something sad. People laugh at him, right? So this is the kind of people who have the power to vote. And the people who support him, also, if you see, oh, he has gone back to Jesus, he's gone back to heaven, blah, blah, blah. How do you know? What is your authority? Why do you speak like that? Do you know what is the criteria of going back to the Lord? They don't know. So that means there's no brahmanas to guide them. So everybody speculates his own thing. Some are happy that he died. Some says he's back to the Lord, like that. All are wrong because they are Shudras. They're not trained in Vedic knowledge. Their very own spiritual master, Lord Jesus Christ, they cannot understand. We can understand. Thou shalt not kill. They should not be killing. And they are the most advanced killing. America, I think, is the biggest slaughtering of cows in the whole world, correct? They are killing like anything, and they're talking about love of God. Therefore, defectors, they do not understand because there's no brahmanas to guide them. So brahmanas are the spiritual masters of society. We have to hear from them. That is not just Christianity or politics. Everywhere. Even in this Krishna consciousness movement, there ought to be Brahmana Vaishnavas that guide other devotees. Because not necessarily all devotees are learned. Not all devotees will be necessarily very much philosophically inclined. That's okay. It doesn't matter because Krishna looks at the service, looks at the sincerity. But still, the nature is there. There are devotees who have more Brahminical nature. Devotees more Kshatriya nature, Vaishya nature. So we should position ourselves also. But if a devotee doesn't have the proper qualification of being a Brahmana, but he thinks that I can preach, I can also talk, right? Of course, there's also different classification, Kanishta Dikari, Madhyama Dikari, Uttama Dikari, like that. But an actual Brahmana is not rubber stamped, right? An actual Brahmana, what is it? 34. No. 42. Shamodamastapa shaucham kshantirajavamevacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. So a Brahmana must have these qualities. Shama, peacefulness. He should not be agitated. He has to be of a mild nature. That is Brahman. Self-controlled. He should not let his mind become agitated by the ever-changing external situations of the world, right? And he should not let his senses be uncontrolled. That means he follows the 4 regulative principles, and he does not sleep too much, eat too much, or not enough, like that, right? Natashnatas tu yogosti nachaikanta manashnataha. That verse 16, yeah. So a Brahmana should be careful too. There's no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much and does not sleep enough. So this should be kept. Not just Brahmana or Vaishnavas. If a devotee's life should understand that he has to regulate these things. Eating, not too little, so that one just lies down, has no energy, or feels sick, and not too much so that he feels bloated and he's not inclined to do activities because the body is too heavy, becomes agitated. And sleep also. Sleep should not be too little that one cannot do anything throughout the day, but at the same time not too much that one becomes lazy, because too much sleep actually makes one lazy. So, peacefulness, self-austerity, purity. Shuchinam Shimatam Gehe. Why is the Brahmana called Shuchi? That verse that one comes back from heaven, Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe. So, rather he takes birth in the family of Shuchi, which is Brahmana, or Shrimatam, those who are blessed by Shri, by Lakshmi, so the Vaishyas community. So Brahmana is called a Shuchi. He's supposed to be clean. So cleanliness is next to godliness, Srila Prabhupada says. So we have to be clean internally, externally. But let's speak of externally now. How to clean ourselves nicely, take shower, take care of our clothes, arrange the place where we sleep, the place where we eat, all these things. Therefore, there are some principles, that we have to wash our hands after eating, wipe the floor when we eat, like that. Keep the bathroom clean, mop the floor every day, sweep. These things are important, where we cook, to clean everything after. It's good because that regulates us. We can see Matajis, because they're always engaged in household duties. When they take good care of the house and all, they also feel it, the purification of the mind, simply by keeping the house clean. It helps. Tolerance, we have to tolerate other people's offenses, because there will be so many offenses that will be committed against us, and we have committed so many offenses anyway. So if someone commits offense against us, a Brahmana should tolerate, should not become agitated, because after all, we've been here for billions of years, we've committed all these offenses and more. So we deserve that. It's our karma, that's all. And it's good for us. It teaches us humility. It's an opportunity to practice humility. But if I become, someone offends me, and you offended me, I'm going to curse you, then I become also agitated. It's not tolerance. Honesty. Brahmana should speak the truth. Is it you who took the 7 cookies? Yeah, it's me. That is truthfulness. So that's good. And we practice honesty, not some crooked, no. Straightforward. Of course, sometimes dealing with the people outside, we're almost forced to lie. We're not gonna be. It's like here. What do you do? Oh, we're opening a temple, but we don't have a license. How to do that? Okay, I'll call the police. So because we live in a world of these crazy rules and all these restrictions, tit for tat, right? They treat us with all these craziness of rules and control and hypocrisy, saying, "Oh, it's for your own good. It's to manage. We want a permit." It's mainly for cash. Government knows this. The government means this. I'm going to create a new sector of the government. What they think of? Cash and control. That's all. So everything you do now here, you need to pay. You want to put a sign in front of your shop. Depending on the size, how much money you have to pay, like $500 for a big sign. I mean, everything is just to take our money. So we're going to be honest with these kind of people? No way. How to be honest? So we have to deal them as they deal with us. But with honest people, with devotees, then we have to practice dishonesty. With regular people, if they're not trying to scam us, we should be honest. Knowledge. So this is very important here. Knowledge, wisdom. See, a Brahmana should have proper knowledge. He should know what is what. So if a devotee comes, he's wearing dhoti tilak, he gives class, but then he says, yeah, pure devotee can fall down, or so many things like that. Is he a Brahmana? Why should I hear from him? If he doesn't have proper knowledge, he doesn't have proper realizations. So now there's these Shudra-like Vaishnavas that start big YouTube channels, and they speak all nonsense, and they mislead the whole congregation of the movement, because they give false knowledge. They're not proper Brahmanas. So Prabhupada said that is the test of one who has, first of all, a bona fide spiritual master and has really taken advantage of his instruction, is that he will change, he will become a Brahmana. Right? That is like the iron that becomes gold. Through the proper process of initiation, iron-like qualities of us Shudras, because we're all born Shudras, will be transformed into gold-like qualities of the Brahmanas. That's the test. And having proper knowledge is one of these tests. If one is not properly initiated, he's not properly guided, then how he will understand all these things? So therefore, we must associate with devotees who have got fixed understanding, proper understanding, not hodgepodge. So this is the way to receive knowledge, to hear from advanced devotees. And Arjuna knew that. He said, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. So Arjuna did not see hell. He did not see hell. Right? So why he speaks of hell? Because he heard about it. The same thing for us. We don't know. We haven't seen hell. How do we know it exists? We must accept. Accept, that's all. Your capacity to explore is how much can we explore? If I say you want to see hell, okay, go see. How we can go to hell? Huh? How we can go to the Svargaloka and all these stars and all? You're gonna cover all this. You're gonna go everywhere and say what's happening. So how? We must hear. But if we think no, nobody knows, only me, only I've got the period. Then what kind of logic is that? But the whole world goes on with this puffed up. These universities is a factory to create puffed up Shudras. That's all. Pumping up puffed up Shudras into society. More and more people puffed up, thinking that they're very big men in society, when they actually have no knowledge of the soul. Oh, I'm a technologist, I'm a programmer, I'm an architect, I'm a Shudras. Whatever comes out of these universities, Shudras, nothing else. Even a doctor is Shudra classified. In Vedic culture, doctor is a Shudra. He's not a, yes, doctor is Shudra. But of course, actual real doctor were the Brahmanas who used the Ayurvedic science. Now, the point of that was that they knew that people are attached to their body and their good fortune. Therefore, Brahmanas, they would study Ayurveda and astrology, because people would come to them, and then they get a chance to preach about higher principles, the soul. So that is different. But simply the science of curing diseases, that is not the business of Brahmanas. Now they think that big like artists, right? We think artists is a big position in society. Artists are Shudras. They do not contribute to the production of food to feed the nation. They do not contribute to the protection of dharma and protecting the bodies of the citizens, like the Kshatriya, nor do they contribute to spiritual spreading spiritual knowledge amongst the people in general. So therefore, artists are Shudra. But the thing is, the magic of Krishna consciousness is whatever you do, if it's linked to pleasing Krishna, then that is the ultimate end. That is the goal. So then you cannot classify materially anymore. It doesn't work like that, because Vaishnava cannot be said to be Shudra, Kshatriya, Vaishya, like that, Brahman. That doesn't mean the nature are not there. They're still there. So in the second canto, in the first canto, second chapter, 128. Dharmas fanushtitaha pumsam vishvaksena kathasuya notpadayat yadiratim shama eva hi kevalam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. So everybody's got duties. Everybody wakes up in the morning saying, I'm going to do this and that and that and that. Well, the aim of your duty should be to develop this attraction for Krishna, or to hear his message, to hear about him. So you can be a big technologist, you can be the professor in Harvard University, is Shamayava hi kevalam. see? Shrama eva hi kevalam. Shrama, useless labor. Eva, only. He, certainly. Kevalam, entirely. It's entirely useless. These are big words, and it's heavy. And if we speak like that, people will become offended. But what can we do? We accept knowledge from the parampara system. That is our line, We do not speculate our own thing. Yes. You see, O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection, actually this is important, Sanskrit verse, Ata pumbhir dvija shrestha varna shama vibhagashah svanushtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. This is 1 to 13, another important verse. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please the personality of God. So, if one is a painter and he paints pictures of Krishna and he's not a Shudra, we cannot classify him as a Shudra because the Shudra is engaged in his dharma, occupational duty. But dharma is meant to bring one to renunciation, and renunciation is meant to bring one to be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if he's already attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he's no longer Shudra, because this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is there in the material side, But at the same time, he should stick to his own nature. If his service given by the spiritual master is to paint, he should do that. He should not sit on the Vyasasana and give class if he doesn't have the qualification. That's the thing. Now, it's not that someone cannot develop that qualification. It can. But if he doesn't, he should not artificially try to imitate. So everybody serves in Vedic culture. And women were meant to serve their husbands. And the children were meant to serve the parents. Like that. So everybody's got some authority. Because Krishna is teaching us to surrender to him through all these different serving relationships. Right? If a child learns to serve the father and mother with great reverence, great respect, that will help him in the future to become a good devotee of Krishna. If the wife is very devoted to the husband and serves with great respect, that will help her become very surrendered to Krishna. Like that. Krishna is slowly giving us some little opportunity to surrender further. But if I'm born, I don't respect my parents, I don't care for my teacher, I don't care for that, then what would I care for God? Correct? So Prabhupada says that is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being held by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. Yes, that is not possible. If one doesn't want to surrender to a proper authority, he will be chewing the chewed only. Just like iPhone 17 came out a couple of days back, like 1 or 2 days ago. And they think it's something new. Again, everybody's hyped up. iPhone 17. A year ago, iPhone 16. A year ago, iPhone 15. A year ago, iPhone 14. It's the same thing you're doing. Same thing. What are you going to do with your iPhone? Same old thing. But everybody's trying to chew the chew. There's no taste, but you try to squeeze, as much taste as possible. Actually, it's tasteless. So, Prahlad Maharaj, I think it is. Yeah. Well, this is one of them. Maybe the one prior to that. Because Prabhupada says one cannot understand, right? If we don't accept this parampara system, one cannot understand. Shri Prahlad Uvacha, Matilna Krishna Parato Svatova Mitho Bibatyeta Grihavritanam Adanda Gopir Vishatam Tamisram Puna Punascharvita Charvanalam. So, Matilna Krishna Parato Svatova. Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, person too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. They do the same thing again and again and again, but they decorate it in different ways, and they think that it's something new. Now, this is the important here. What I wanted to highlight: their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. You see, so these people are very much condemned. Who is that? Those who are too much addicted to sense gratification. When we're too much addicted to sense gratification, even though we get good instructions, we will not be receptive. That's why we need to let people become purified somehow. Give them some prasadam. Let them hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Let them hold a book, read a little bit, like that. Then slowly they will be more submissive. Just like when we very first time began Krishna consciousness, at least myself, I was not so much. I mean, at the very beginning, there's some things in Prabhupada books I did not like to read. It's like, well, what is that? What is this? Much or not like that. Why? I was too addicted to sense gratification. Therefore, I could not accept pure knowledge. And let's say you go back, to the time where we were very strong karmis. What if a devotee would have preached to us at that time? Would have said, I don't care. Who's this person? Some weirdo. Would have been very offensive because we're not somehow having enough purification. So those who are you see, because of their uncontrolled senses, person too addicted to materialistic life. Every day, performing so many sins, drinking. Like yesterday, I took a walk on this Monk Street. There was a bar there. It was open at what, like 5:30 or 6. Yesterday's a Wednesday. Wednesday, 6 o'clock, and people were there getting drunk. Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So why? Because uncontrolled senses. Their tongue is telling them, go drink, go drink, go drink. They go there. So such people are gliding down to hell. They're going to go to hell, literally. But no, life, continue as if it's eternal. No knowledge. Misdirected civilization, Prabhupada says. So they progress toward hellish conditions, repeatedly chewing what's already being chewed. Now their life is, materially, let's say, okay, a bit comfortable. Here in Quebec, you get money from the government. You want to be a lazy fella, okay? Get your check, every month. So what do? You drink, you smoke, do nothing, okay? What about next life? Maybe you'll be born in a small village in Vietnam, with like only a t-shirt, no underwear. Some people live like that. People are suffering every single day. Like Philippines, you've seen so much. They're in the street every day like that, sleeping on the sidewalk. So now you're in the Western country where the government gives you money. Next life you'll be over there. It's some very tough situation. So there's a system in the Varnashram institution by which before death one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. So Prabhupada here speak of Prayas Chitta. Of course, this is another topic. We're speaking more of receiving knowledge through cyclic succession. But here, because Arjuna says, if you family traditions are destroyed, dwell always in hell. So Prabhupada speaks of this family tradition, whereas one performs the Prayaschitta process. When he gets older, okay, I've done so many sins in my life, and now it's time to atone before my death. So cultured families used to understand that. There used to be this system, even in Christianity, the confession, right? The priest is there, and then you go. What do they call that?
Confession or
confession booth. Confession booth, like separated in between. There's a cloth so you don't see, right? And then you speak your sins to the priest. So that is Vedic, to admit your sins, and then to do some reformatory atonement. But the problem with that is that it doesn't remove the seed, the cause of sin, which is the desire for material enjoyment. As long as desire for material enjoyment is there in the heart, one will have to commit material activities. And even pious activities are also material. And at one point, one will be forced to commit sinful activities. One cannot only commit pious activities eternally. No, it's not possible. Unless he takes the devotional service, he will again fall down. Huh? And that is there. The Yamadutas, they spoke about that. Vishnuduta. It's in Yamaduta, I think is 6th canto, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's not there. So fruitive activities. Punishable. Yeah. So 6. That's it. So we're going to go see that chapter, which is the very first chapter of the 6th canto. So this is, the story of Ajamil, and then there's the conversation between Vishnudutas, Yamadutas. So you see, this is the Yamaduta who speak. They are learned, the Yamadutas. They must know the code of religion because they need to know who to arrest, who not to arrest. The Yamaraj is sending them, correct? The candidates for punishment are those who are confirmed by these many witnesses. Because, the prior verse says that we are being observed always, If we sin, the sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day, night, directions, water, land, and super soul himself all witness the activities of the living entity. See, you cannot hide. The sun is watching. So the demigods are watching us. It's not that I'm going to go in a dark room where nobody is and I'll sin and nobody will see me. No. Maybe the sun will not see you. Maybe fire will not see you. But how you can hide from sky, air, how you can hide from evening or day, from the directions, and ultimately how you can hide from Krishna, who is within your heart. So then the candidates for, this is 6.142 and then 6.143 we are. The candidates for punishment are those who are confirmed by these many witnesses to have deviated from their prescribed regulative duties. Everyone engaged in fruitive activities is suitable to be subjected to punishment according to his sinful acts. See, if you remain in this karma kanda, or even this vikarma activity, you have to pay for your sins. And who is not committing sins? It's impossible. You must kill some bugs at one point. Even let's say you're vegetarian, you're vegan, you're this, you're that. You will have to commit some sins. You're entangled one way or another. And then, this is the verse, 6.144. O inhabitants of Vaikuntha, you are sinless, but those within this material world are all karmis, whether acting piously or impiously. Both kinds of action are possible for them because they are contaminated by the three modes of nature and must act accordingly. One who has accepted a material body cannot be inactive, and sinful action is inevitable for one acting under the modes of material nature. Therefore, all living entities within this material world are punishable. See, sometimes people who are sentimentalists or maybe some neophyte devotee, they'll say, oh, how we can say this person will go to hell? He's a nice person and all. He might, you see, of course, some people might go to heaven, but they will go to hell too. It's not that it's one side or the other. It's both. We've committed some pious activity, we need to enjoy that. We've committed some sinful activities, we need to suffer that. The story of King, what is his name? King, the one who became a lizard in the 10th canto, Krishna book. Huh? I forgot, but he was one of the most pious, materially pious king. He gave crores and crores and like millions, billions of cows throughout his whole life. More than we can count, more than we can say throughout his whole life. So in those days, Vedic system, right, management, incredible. So amount of cows on the planet was, we would not believe the number. So he was able to give so much. And he made a small mistake, right? One cow came back and he gave it to another brahmana, like that. And just because of that, he had to become a lizard. So that meant there's no comparison in piety. No, forget it. That man had to see Yamaraj. He had to go and stand in front of Yamaraj. And Yamaraj asked him, which one you want to take first? You want to take the result of your piety or the result of your sins? And he said, I want to take the result of my sins first. Prabhupada said he's not very intelligent. Anyway, Prabhupada says that those who do this karma kanda are not very intelligent, because the whole point he was doing was to enjoy it. He takes the sin first. But Yamaraj said, I cannot calculate the end of your heavenly life, because you've done so much donation in cows to brahmanas. I cannot calculate now. Can you imagine? That means he would have been there for who knows. So he said, I want to take the sin, and he became a lizard. Right? So he had to see Yamaraj. I was reading in some Upanishad or Purana that Yamaraj appears different, though. It's not that he's scary for pious people. When someone who's very pious goes to see Yamaraj is with a beautiful garland. He appears very nice. But for the sinful people, Yamaraj is extremely scary. He takes another appearance, and he's flanked by time and death personified. So there's death standing there, and there's time standing there. The skeleton with the sight. The Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
So they draw death like that. Actually, death is not like that, but he's very scary. It's described in the Ramayana. Death is charcoal black. His whole body is fully dark, and he's got some piercing red eyes. That's death personified. So can you imagine these people who are sinful? They're being brought in front of Yamaraj, and they're going to see this. And not only the first thing is you see Yamadutas. That is extremely scary already. Fearful appearance. Then they bring you to Yamaraj, and you see all of that. You see his king. So Arjuna accepted. They dwell in hell. He did not say that why there's hell. He did not try to speculate that God wouldn't do that. No, he understood the judgment. It's fair. Tit for tat. You do sins, you must suffer. So therefore, everybody is punishable. Sinful action is inevitable for one acting under the modes of material logic. Inevitable. Maybe you're very pious now, but you'll be forced to commit some sin one day or another, this life or the next. In proportion to the extent of one's religious or irreligious actions in this life, one must enjoy or suffer the corresponding reactions of his karma in the next. That's why Vedic kings, they used to give the punishment right away. So you don't have to go through a whole life of suffering. You killed someone, chop your head now. Finish. Like that, you can start a new next life. You get your punishment by the king himself. No need to the Yamaduta punish you. King will do now. And it's a mercy, because you don't have to be a whole life of suffering, or more than one life. So according to the sin of someone, the king will give some specific type of punishment, so that he be fully purified of his sinful reaction. Just like Srila Prabhupada said that those who rape children, they should be killed, but before that, they should be skinned alive. Yeah, they should be skinned alive. This is one month. The Mataji who used to cook for Prabhupada, the French devotee Mataji that Jai Govinda Prabhu said. She said this story so many times that she heard Prabhupada say that, because in our movement it happened, right? And I think even in Prabhupada's time, I think it happened.
Yes.
So when Prabhupada learned about that, he said that these people who rape children, they should be killed, but before that, they should be skinned alive. So you imagine, huh? So that in those days, now they say, oh, barbarian, the public killing, barbarian. What barbarian? What barbarian? You're a hypocrite, because your society, your so-called liberal society, is allowing like drugs, like anything, is destroying people's life. People commit suicide. They hurt others. They steal from others. All this is there. You're allowing this abortion that is killing, what is it, 50 million babies a year.
30 million right now.
Yeah, so 50, let's say 50 million a year. You're allowing people to carry guns and all, and stab. So all your thing, your so-called liberal mentality, is creating so much misery for the people of the world. Whereas in Vedic time, yes, it's ghastly. But what? You think people are not looking at ghastly stuff? No, I'm on Facebook yesterday and I see the guy get shot in the neck, No, it's everywhere. I want to be on Facebook and I see a video of a guy get shot in the neck. It's everywhere now, this ghastliness. Especially now, people can see people being murdered on the phone very easily. So instead of hiding and watching all your ghastly stuff and all, and then saying, "Oh no, this is," instead of being a Shudra hypocrite, you show it to the people. You want to be raping at children? This is what's going to happen to you. Skin him alive. Boom. You think this is not going to be entering in people's mind? If someone had got this tendency, you would see that, okay, I'm not going to do it. So it's a huge instruction, very, very strict instruction, that you want to steal, all right, chop off his head in front of everybody. Boom. One man taking as uh, an example, and then you control the entire population. So there's no all this killing happening. You've seen, I think, also another story recently, the black guy who killed the white lady in the bus. So you see, we can see all this stuff, The guy nowhere pulls out the knife, boom, boom, stab the poor little white girl, just like that. So, and this guy was gonna happen to him. Oh, going to jail. Why? Take the guy out in public and chop off his head in front of everybody. That's gonna make all the other murderers out there think twice, at least. So this mercy to the offender, is violence to the innocent. If you're merciful towards these type of people, you are committing violence to the innocent. 3 strikes. What is this thing of 3 strikes? Oh, you get another chance. You get another. No, it should be extremely strict. You do something bad, boom. You kill someone, we kill you. Or you attack someone in the street, also we kill. In those days, Arjuna, there was a brahmana who his things were stolen. I think it was his cow or something. He screamed, no one is here to protect me. Someone took my thing. Arjuna took his boat, cut the head. Finish. You steal something from a brahmana, cut off your head. But no, like all merciful. He also's got life. No, he's a rat. We deal with vermin as vermin. That's all. No question of having some so-called to be very merciful. There's no mercy for them. Actually, that is mercy. That is the whole point. When you're in the bodily concept of life, you don't understand what is what. You think he's the body. If you kill it, his life is finished. It's not like that. The life continues after that. But you purify him from his sins, So therefore, only the brahmanas can see properly, because they are seeing spiritually, not just materially. But you're a Shudra in the bodily concept of life. You speculate, oh no, if you kill him, he's finished. He doesn't exist anymore, right? You remove his life, you finish him. Not like that. That's why it's extremely hard to preach nowadays, because people are more and more fallen day by day, Shudra quality, thinking that they know so much, not willing to hear from authority. But it's not impossible. With Harinam Sankirtan, distribution of Prasadam, distribution of books, people will become devotee. But we need to help them get purified somehow or other, Here there's some Prasadam. That's why university and college is good. Actually, I would like to try college, because college, they're even younger. University, they become a bit puffed up sometimes, but college, they're very young. It's like 16, 17, 18. At that age, they're even more innocent. And so if we can get them young like that, we have better chance of. Any questions or comment?
Yeah, I have a comment. I just noticed that they're very their laws are they're very stringent and strict with the very minor nebulous laws that they make.
Always saying screen is not
But
visible.
the higher, like offenses like, murder or child rape, they just, put this guy 5 years, or they give him a, bail.
How, you see, just like yesterday, okay, this man got killed, he got shot, right? So they caught the guy, some old guy who shot him. Now, how's the wife and the 2 daughters are gonna feel about that? That the killer of my father is dead, he's alive. You're not doing retribution. You're not doing justice to the mother and the 2 daughters. At least to satisfy them, they should kill. Yeah, I should kill him, and they should see that. You see, this man is dead now. The man who killed your father, he's dead and gone. Don't worry anymore. And how are you gonna live? How you go on with your life knowing that the killer of your father is dead, someone is still alive? What kind of So they're saying that they're only seeing a black screen. I'm gonna check now.
The one thing with the Brahmins in cows, in Vedic
Yeah,
times,
only black. No black screen. I don't know why. Here I'm seeing that it's proper. So why is it like that? But YouTube is fully black. Dark. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Go Pramanande.